to another edition of Marquette in Motion. We're your hosts, Morgan Minster
and Amber Krieg. On today's show, we'll be telling you about our recent fundraiser, reporting on this year's renewal days for our students, learning some interesting facts about the Pope, interviewing our new athletic director, answering all of your questions and You Ask, We Answer,
and as always, updating you on Marquette sports and events. But first, we've got a report on our recent fundraising for Hunger Action Month.
Last week, Christina reported on Marquette's most recent fundraiser, Fill the Cart in honor of Hunger Action Month. Students brought in non-perishable goods for the Bellevue bread basket and also organized an out-of-dress code day when students could bring $1 or $2 to wear clothes not in accordance with the school's standing dress code. The results of this fundraiser were something to celebrate, as Marquette students raised a total of $400.10.
Thanks, Amber. Now we turn to something else that's worth celebrating, the arrival of Pope Francis to the United States.
His visit to the U.S. reminds me of a great quote of his, "Don't be tourists on the spiritual journey of faith."
Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope, the first pope from the Americas, the first pope from the Southern Hemisphere, and the first non-European pope since the Syrian Gregory III in 741.
Prior to being a pope, he was known as Jorge Mario Bergoglio. When becoming pope, he took the name Francis in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, who was a man of poverty and peace and a protector of all creation.
Since before Pope Francis arrived, students and teachers at Marquette have taken some time in their classes to look more into the great leader of the Catholic Church and catch up on some of the issues he addresses.
Some of our teachers have taken time to show video clips from the Pope's joint address to Congress and his speech at the White House. The teachers also have open classroom discussions.
With Pope Francis visiting the United States, we at Marquette in Motion thought it would be fun to jam with the Pope this week. And that's jam as in Justina, Allison, Megan, and Mackenzie. You go, girls!
Thanks for the sisterly love. Right now the Pope is in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. He held Mass at 10:30 this morning, and later this afternoon is scheduled to visit Independence Hall, the historic place where the Declaration of Independence and Constitution were signed.
Maybe he'll tweet about it. Did you know that Pope Francis is the first pope to have Twitter, and he's the most retweeted world leader? His Twitter handle is Pontifex, which is Latin for bridge builder.
How does the man have time to build bridges too?
I'm sure he is using bridge builder in the metaphorical sense, but prior to becoming pope, he did have a variety of jobs, some of which included bar bouncer, janitor, and chemical tester.
Of course, that was a long time ago.
Speaking of a long time ago, did you know that when he was 12, he fell in love with a girl from his neighborhood? He told her, "If I don't marry you, I'm going to become a priest."
I guess we know how that ended up. Speaking of a long time ago, did you realize that the Pope hasn't watched TV since 1990?
So I guess he didn't catch Dancing with the Stars this week?
I guess not, but he does reportedly like to tango.
Another interesting fact is that Pope Francis only has one lung, as he had the other removed when he was just a teenager.
That doesn't seem to slow him down, especially since he's multilingual. He is able to fluently speak 3 languages, Italian, Spanish, and German.
I wish I could say goodbye in all those languages, because that's all the time the Pope gets for now. If you want to learn more, read and watch the news. For Marquette in Motion, this has been
Jam Time!
With
Justina Denlinger,
Allison Hager,
Megan Litter,
And Mackenzie Kilberg.
Stay tuned. Marquette in Motion will be back after these messages.
Welcome back to Marquette in Motion. Christina Koos is here with some information about this year's Faith Renewal Days.
Every year, each K through 12 grade partakes in a renewal day. The primary and intermediate students usually celebrate their renewal days in the spring, while many 6 through 12 classes participate in their renewal days in the fall. These retreats are held in local church halls or basements, as well as lodges and parks. The K through 5 teachers plan their students' renewal experiences, while theology teacher Mrs. Carol Feller organizes the 6 through 12 retreats. When asked what she hopes the students take away from their day of renewal, Mrs. Feller stated, "I hope that each student will see how great a relationship with God and Christ is, that the Holy Spirit is always there to help us throughout our lives, that their faith is a living, growing part of them always, and that they have to take responsibility to nurture that faith. I also hope they take away good memories and have a good time." This year's renewal days were kicked off yesterday by the 6th through 8th graders. The theme of their day was Rock and Roll, Jesus is our Rock. The freshmen will spend a day in October learning about the parables and relating them to their lives. The sophomores will discuss each of their special gifts and talk about Advent during their renewal day in November. In March, the junior class will deepen their faith by learning more about Holy Week and Lent. The seniors will go on their day of renewal run by guidance counselor Miss Julie Schmidt in the beginning of October. Thank you to all of the teachers who strive to help us deepen our faith. For Marquette in Motion, this has been Christina Koos.
Thanks for that report, Christina. And now we invite Lauren Kilberg to help us deepen our knowledge of all things Marquette related. Our first question today comes from a local listener who missed our show last week. She wonders if there's any way she can still hear the episode she missed.
Well, to that listener, I just want to say that it's never too late to be informed, involved, or in motion. We're happy to report that you can now listen to our show recordings that you've missed, or just loved so much that you want to hear them again, on our Marquette website. Go to marquettecatholic.com, click on the Student Life tab, and from there select Marquette in Motion to hear the audio file.
I'll be sure to file that away in my memory.
Speaking of files, this one's not a question, but it is something interesting for our audience. Prior to the demolition of our old St. Joe's building, Mrs. Ruth Marshall was going through the files and came across many old class composite pictures. Give her a call if you'd like to take a look at them. And speaking of class pictures, CB Studio will be here on Tuesday, October 6th to take individual photos of every student, including our preschoolers and any interested daycare student. Picture order forms and envelopes were sent out Monday.
The last question reads, I've heard a little about the Jackson County campaign for grade level reading. Is Marquette a part of this?
Great question. The Jackson County campaign for grade level reading involves all schools in Jackson County, including Marquette. This is an effort funded in part by the Community Foundation of Jackson County. The aim of this campaign is to ensure that all students read at grade level by third grade. The program brings together funders, nonprofit partners, schools, and parents, and has 3 focus areas: school readiness, school attendance, and summer learning. In addition, Jackson County is also part of Dolly Parton's Imaginarium Library. In this program, every child in Jackson County, ages 0 to 5, is mailed a free book every month. Remember to read to your children. And I'm always looking for reading material from our listeners. We're always listening to you at Marquette in Motion at marquettecatholic.com. Until next week, this has been Lauren Kilberg for Marquette in Motion. We'll be back after these messages.
We're back with Marquette in Motion. Sam Peters and Jonathan Herrig are here with your Marquette Sports and Updates report.
Thanks, Morgan. This past Monday, the Marquette boys and girls cross-country teams competed at the annual Bellevue Comets cross-country meet. The girls showed up to the Bellevue golf course with determination in their step, and they brought home the first-place medal. Annika Frank placed 6th, Ashley Coos 7th, and Macy Kramer 8th. The boys, still suffering from hurt runners, tied for the second-place spot with Cal Wheat. Kelby Mueller placed 5th, and Sam Peters placed 8th. Here's Jonathan Herrig with Marquette Volleyball.
Thanks, Sam. The Marquette volleyball team participated in 2 games this week, traveling to play Cedar Valley Christian and also playing North Cedar on their home court. Marquette swept both competitions, winning the first 3 sets against both teams. Their overall record will be brought up to 15-4, and they are now ranked 9th in the state for 1A teams. Great job, girls.
For Marquette in Motion, this has been Sam Peters
and Jonathan Herrig
with your Marquette Sports and Updates report.
Thanks, boys. And now that we know more about this week's athletics, it's time to know more about one of Marquette's newest staff members.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn Moore, and I will be interviewing Mr. Mark Mueller, our new athletic director. I hope you've had a good day so far. Would you mind starting off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, and thanks for the opportunity for the interview. I appreciate it. I'm raising 2 sons, both in school. One is a senior and one is an 8th grader. I am a former welder. I learned at a place in Dubuque used to be called Area 1, and from that point I worked for John Deere for a few years. After that I went to school, graduated from Loras College, and then I got involved with the U.S. Army, working as a civilian with logistics for ammunition. That career led me to places and stations around the world, including Rock Island Arsenal, Stuttgart, Germany, a little place called Kreilsheim, Germany. I was stationed at the Pentagon for a while, and Honolulu, Hawaii. A little bit more about myself. I volunteer my time to support the school and the community. Some of the things that I do is I've coached. I've coached a lot of soccer. I've ran the soccer program for a couple of years. I've assisted with Little League baseball programs. I've coached basketball. And I spend a lot of time working with kids in the park and a variety of things.
Okay, that's very good to know. So, you're an athletic director. What does that involve exactly?
Lots and lots of scheduling. My job, what I see my job is that to provide seamless support for all the sports activities within the school. And by seamless support, I mean, I know that the referees are going to be there. I know that if there's a weather delay, I need to contact these numbers of people. I need to make the decisions on support. I also run the concession stand, so I need to make sure that that's always fully stocked. The workers are ready. The product is ready. There's just a lot of things to make sure that all the sporting events go off without a hitch, and that's what I see my position as.
Well, glad to know you're on top of it. What are some ideas or goals you have in mind for Marquette's athletic program?
Well, Brooklyn, I've been the athletic director only since August 1st, so I'm still brand new to the programs. But one of the things that I've noticed is that not all of our teams have their schedules filled to capacity, and what I mean is that the state allows us to play so many games in each of the sports. I've discovered that we don't always have our teams playing as many games as they can, so one of my goals in the short term is to try and make sure that all of the sporting activities at Marquette have the opportunity to play the maximum number of games allowed by the state. I want our kids to have a chance to compete as often as they can to improve themselves and to improve our competition and to all be better athletes in the long run.
Well, being an athlete myself, I really do appreciate that. Last question. Were you ever, or are you now, an athlete? If so, would you mind telling us what athletics you participated in or are participating in?
I have always considered myself an athlete, not a very good one, but at least I've been on the athletic field for a while. Back when I was in school, I had the opportunity to play in as many as I could. I played basketball, baseball, I ran cross country, and those programs were all, the cross country program was even brand new back then. After I got out of high school, I've even expanded my opportunities. I got into long distance running, so that included longer runs, a few half marathons, a few marathons. I got into tennis, I swim, I play just a little bit of golf, I do walking, and I do bicycling. So I still play with some of the young guys on the basketball court, and I still play. I'm very active on the tennis courts, and I still run a lot. So I still consider myself not a very good athlete, but I'm still out there trying to compete.
That's good. I'm glad to hear you are still involved in sports. Well, thanks for letting me interview you today, Mr. Mueller, and thanks to everyone for listening. Next week, I'll be interviewing Coach Kelsey Kaiser. Make sure to keep tuning in. For Marquette in Motion, this has been Brooklyn Moore.
Thanks for reporting, everyone.
And thanks for tuning in. For Marquette in Motion, this has been Morgan Minster
And Amber Krieg.
And remember, stay informed, stay involved, stay
in motion.